In the wake of an election loss this past November, the Democratic National Committee is analyzing what went wrong and how to move forward. The answer to that question will eventually be answered by one of the 5 people on your screen. And there might be more that enter this race. All of these folks are running to become the chair of the Democratic National Committee and lead the party's strategy into the 2026 midterms and the next presidential election. According to NBC News, in interviews, these candidates said that as the party moves into 2025, it should be armed with a postmortem to learn lessons from an election in which the Democratic presidential candidate lost every battleground state and the popular vote. But what exactly are those lessons? Well, one of the candidates for DNC chair joins us now, Ben Wikler, chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party.
Mr. Chairman, welcome. I have been waiting for this conversation. I have to tell you, I have been very impressed with your leadership in Wisconsin. You remind me of a few former chairmen in my party who understood the importance of not just the end game, winning the election, but the process to get there and to set it up. You, sir, did an interview with Vanity Fair, in which you noted a lot of voters are only hearing about Democrats from Republicans. And when that's the case, they'll always get the most Republican caricature that Republicans can muster. So there's a significant challenge to make sure Democrats are telling their own story. That was part of your keys to laying out that the party right now, the brand is broken. It's something I understood when I inherited the RNC leadership in 2009. The brand was broken. How then do you approach a potential, chairmanship of the Democratic Party with respect to a 50-state strategy versus a swing state focus, grassroots, bottom up? Chairman, you win elections not just top down, but bottom up. How do you see this process unfolding for a new Democratic Party under your leadership?
Mr. Chairman, great to be with you this morning. Simone, great to be with you. This is a crisis moment for the country, and we're going to face enormous challenges by a Republican Party that's trying to rig the country for a handful of billionaires at the very top. And Democrats need to be stronger. They need to be louder. They need to be more omnipresent to fight back in a way that builds back trust from working folks to show that we're on their side. Right now, Democrats often have a very good message, but when we think we're blowing out of a megaphone, it comes out sounding like a kazoo. And if we don't figure out, and if we don't do the work, as we've been doing in Wisconsin, to build a multitude of messengers who are communicating on every medium, on podcasts and streaming and cable news, on conservative media, on emerging independent progressive media, to make the case that Trump is trying to divide people in order to rip everybody off across race and ethnicity, across rural areas and suburbs and cities alike, in order to benefit a tiny number of people, that we're fighting for everyone. If we can't get that message across in places where we're not showing up right now, we're going to keep losing. I want to win. That means communicating and organizing everywhere year round.
So, Ben, the rules for the chair's race, and the Democrats will be electing a new chair. They'll be electing vice chairs as well, secretary and whatnot. The rules have been established as of, I believe, this past Thursday, and 448 members are going to make this decision. DNC members, many of those people, the majority of those folks are not members of Congress, and you're going to need 40 signatures to officially put your name in the ballot from DNC members, and that's due January 25th. Do you have your 40 signatures yet?
I either have them now or I'll have them by the end of the day. We have commitments on all those signatures. I'm very excited to be officially in this race, in the forums, in this conversation. And my message to DNC members is that what we've done in Wisconsin with building year-round infrastructure, offices all over the state, organizing staff that build neighbor-to-neighbor conversations, friend-to-friend, and networks of kind of micro-influencers and macro-influencers who affect the online conversation as well as in the traditional press, that model can work across the country. It'll look different in different places. We need a strategy for every state. It's not a cookie cutter. It's 50 state strategies. But if we do this work now with a view towards what we need to win over the next 4 years, we're going to be able to flip a whole bunch of seats that might feel out of reach from where we sit right now as Republicans take total control of our government.
Yeah, Chairman, you have a number of outlets reporting about, the breakup, the decline, the fall of the Democratic Party. Certainly, many of us heard that, and some inside the Republican Party said that back in the day after losing in 06 and 08. The recovery process is an important part of establishing the leadership for the party. You've got opponents that are announced, at least intending to run, who are governor, state senator, Department of Health and Human Services official. Very different sort of brand of backgrounds. What makes you stand out from the Martin O'Malley's and the Nate Snyders who are also intending to run?
I think what we need across this country is what we've been building in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is one of the toughest states to win in this country. It's a state rigged by GOP operatives for total control. And over these last 6 years, and building on the work of my predecessor, just as we're going to build on the work of Jamie Harrison, we are going to be able to organize and show from the middle of the country that when you go where the voters are, when you start with an understanding that you need so many local messengers in different communities to be able to make this work at a macro level. We work on the school board races. We work on state Supreme Court races, state legislative races. That builds up to governor's races, U.S. Senate races. We just re-elected Tammy Baldwin, and that will ladder up to flipping control of the U.S. House, U.S. Senate, flipping state level trifectas, and winning a federal trifecta in 2028. That is the kind of track record you need from a state like Wisconsin to be able to build what we need nationwide. And that's my argument, is that you can see in what we've done with record resources, with unity, with focus, with a fight up and down the ballot year round, that we've been able to win in moments when people thought we were definitely going to lose. That's what we need nationally now. Our party has strong bones, but we need to put a lot more muscle on those bones to be able to fight, unite, and win elections up and down the ballot.
Ben, what have your conversations been like with the DNC membership, both with the DNC members from the state of Wisconsin, but also members across the country? There are 448 folks who are going to make this decision. If on the first ballot there's not a clear winner, it will go to a second ballot, and then the ballots will continue to go until someone is picked. But the difference here than what people maybe saw in the trying to pick a speaker situation in this Congress is that the lowest vote getter will be dropped off. So if there are 5 people on the ballot, and they'll just drop off until finally there's 2 people down there and somebody has to win. What are the conversations? Because I'm talking to members, and they say they are looking to hear about the plans for fundraising, because the chair is going to have to fundraise. The chair is also going to have to work with the leaders of the House and the Senate, the Democratic leaders there. But this chair is also going to be the person that puts together the process for 2028. The calendar is going to change. Every year, Democrats are going to revisit the calendar every 4 years. What have you told folks, and what kind of commitments are you making to people out there as you work to earn their support?
So many Democrats are looking for a national chair who can unite the party, and that means both the kind of moderate and progressive wings. It also means the national and state parts of our party. It also means with our partners, with the union movement and our allies in grassroots organizations, with the folks who are on the inside, and it means working with candidates. That's kind of the special strength that I bring here. My previous job was at MoveOn, and in that role, I worked with national elected leaders and with grassroots groups all over the country to fight back against the repeal of the Affordable Care Act. Then I moved home to Wisconsin. I worked with our amazing governor, Tony Evers, who's such a champion. Right now, we have a campaign operation building to win the state Supreme Court race in the spring. Susan Crawford, a great judge who's running against Brad Schimmel, who's a far-right former attorney general under Scott Walker, attacker of against abortion rights. And that kind of focus on a race like that affects the future of the state, even while I'm running for DNC chair, that's the kind of focus on unity and winning that I think a lot of folks are responding to really well. Now, some of these conversations, we're meeting for the first time, getting to know each other. There's a real openness. I think we're going to see a lot of movement in January in this race as it comes into clear focus, both the record I've been able to build, $230 million that we've raised in Wisconsin, more than any other Democratic state party in the country, and also the kind of fight that we can use those resources to bring from the grassroots on up. I think a lot of folks want to see that kind of fight nationally for these next 4 years, and that's the conversations that I'm having with DNC members now.
And just real quick, I know we're getting ready to go, but I'm just going to say the selection by the DNC at this point, the person they choose will tell you the direction the party wants to go and how they want to get there. And it really does matter who the chairman is when you're in the position the Democrats find themselves in right now.
And who the chairman hires, okay? But we want to have some more conversations.
Oh, yeah.
We want to hear from all of the people.
Oh,
yes.
my gosh, Ben, you know what that's like, baby boy. You know. What do you mean you didn't hire my consultant?
Well, and
not at those rates.
I know we have to go. Brittany's gonna get me, but I will say Brittany is our senior producer this hour. One of the big questions on the table from the last election has to do with vendors and diverse vendors of color, Black people, Latino, Hispanic. Do you have anything you want to tell the people about vendors and your position there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we should not assume that the contracts that have existed should exist going forward. We need a vendor team. We need a staff team. We need a primary calendar that reflects our coalition, that reflects the groups that we need to be able to draw on their life experience, their wisdom about this work, to be able to win across race and ethnicity, across gender, geography, generation, across this country. If we don't have the right voices in the room when we're making the plans, then we'll make the wrong plans. So this is, I think, really critical at the core of who we are, to make sure that we have folks who know how to communicate in ways that resonate, in places that resonate with voters that we need to reach. And when we dig through the data, we can see there's a whole lot more reaching that we need to do if we're going to start winning elections again.